So we've been sharing with you guys that there are certain sentences, we're convinced, dozens of sentences. If you really familiarize yourself with this information we're about to give you, it's debatable whether or not you need the 4-year degree.
It radically change your life.
It could radically change your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So this, I guess we've gone through like 12 different sentences, right?
Yeah.
The last 2 or 3 podcasts. So we're going to start with this one that it was funny because when I laid it down, when I came in here, you're like, whoa, can you say that again?
Yeah, because it's like I comprehended it, but I didn't comprehend it.
But then you loved it.
Yeah.
Okay, so start growing, listen to me, by saying yes to many opportunities.
Yeah.
Which we've all done that. But continue your growth by learning how to say no.
Which is really hard to do sometimes.
It is. It's especially really if you're one of those that you like to say yes to everything and, you know, all the opportunities. And I'm kind of going through something like that right now where I've got these really cool opportunities right in front of me, and I've said yes to all of them, but right here, right now, there's a lot going on to the point that it's making me feel a certain way because I want to do really, really well at everything that I do. And when I feel like I'm not going to be able to give it my all, I perhaps should not have accepted that responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Who is it? I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the guy who started CD Baby when that first came out. Derek Sivers.
Okay.
And he said, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Oof. I don't think I go that far, but it makes sense.
But it makes sense. And so I just want to point this out. So the basis of the quote is, if you're just starting out, like if you're literally just like, if you're becoming a videographer, marketer, audio engineer like me, take the opportunities. Like go work at a crappy church.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jesus. Like, you know, crappy church. Do we really say that on this podcast?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, I'm not saying that the church is crappy. Yeah. But, you know, go take a job at a church where you can, you know,
just donate your time.
Yeah. Donate your time and learn and expand and go. Like I used to run, I hated it, but I used to run sound for bar bands.
Okay.
And it was not for me. And I was uncomfortable every time, but I was getting better. And I was getting paid a little bit.
Yeah.
Which was a big deal. And so whenever you're first getting those opportunities, but there's going to come a time where you're getting really good opportunities where, you know, like I've been able to work with like Carrie Job and I don't know, multiple bigger artists. And there were times where I was like, and I had like a bar band call me and I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. You know, I'm not going to do that for half the price that I would normally do.
Correct. Yeah. Which I'm going to go down the list a little bit because there's one that I really appreciate. And I've lived this, having this marketing ad agency for a dozen years. It is okay. This took me a long time to figure this out. It is okay to fire clients that don't align with your values or the means by which and the pace at which you want to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's a term we have, they're called ankle biters. You know, it's awful, but it's those people who they're investing very little into what you do and they ask for a lot. And those who invest a lot into what we do for them, you rarely hear from them. Yeah. Those are the ideal clients.
Right.
For me.
Yeah, well, and I think it's also like you said, aligns with your values. You know, you don't want to do work for a client who maybe you don't even believe in what they're doing from their own, like maybe it's like a faith standpoint or it's maybe it's a political standpoint, and just, you know, doing work for them and with them and enhancing their business just makes you feel uncomfortable or icky. No. It's just time for you to get out. Like the money will show up later with a client that probably aligns with your values. And you don't even know sometimes whenever you're working with a client that you like probably shouldn't even be working with in the first place. And you're taking all that time, what opportunities are you missing?
Right.
To where you could be in alignment with a better client.
Right. And my other, I guess, measurement system, if you will, if my phone rings and I look down and my stomach hurts when I read the name on the screen, it's time to fire that client. Yeah. It really is. You know, if it's just that person that you know, it's whether it's negative or they're just going to ask a lot of you or, you know, just put you in these weird situations is when you know you got to, And I haven't had to do it much. I mean, I think it's happened 3 times.
Wow.
3 times.
And how many years have you been doing
12, well, 12 years in the agency.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. And actually, it's more like 2.5. Like one of them, we just had sort of an
mutual.
amicable. Yeah, it's like, I'm just not going to be able to do that for you or whatever. So.
Right.
This is a really interesting one as well. It's, we're encouraging all of you guys to put yourself out there and do the best you can do and get recognized. And we're giving you all of this advice. But did you know that the less you care about making sales, the more you make? Did you know that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, because you stop looking at everything as like, how do I make money? And you start looking at things as, how can I make a difference?
Right.
How can I solve a problem?
So good.
Because once you start solving a problem, people are just going to keep paying you to solve that problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's and it's kind of like relationships. You always find it when you aren't looking. Did you believe that?
Yeah, I mean that's a testimony of my own about how Lena and I are even together and married now, is because we broke up for a year and I'd spent probably 10 months reeling over them every day, every morning, thinking about it, and finally it was like the end of November of last year. It was around this time that I was like, okay, God, they're yours. Like, I'm done. Like, I had like a crazy moment, and I was like, okay, they're yours. Like, I'm not going to try to hold anything over. I'm not going to try anymore. I'm going to let you have everything. A week later, she calls me.
Oh, I remember.
And I
was there.
Yeah, that's right. You were.
I remember.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a year ago. Yeah. Anyways.
Time flies when you're having such a good time.
That's a testament, is once you let go of things, it'll show up exactly when it's supposed to.
No doubt. And, you want to force it. And okay, this is going to take us back to that first discussion. You want to force it because you so badly want some business and you want to be working. But I'm with Lucas, just be very careful, because all those opportunities that you accept keep you from getting the hell yeah or whatever with the heck yeah moment, of the ones that would really excite you. So sometimes it's patient. I get it. It's like, well, how am I going to keep my lights on? How am I going to keep paying, rent at this facility or whatever? But it'll come. I'm not saying you have to sit down or lay down, but you've got to you actively search, but not desperately, perhaps.
Yeah, it's okay. So there's a book that I read every year. It's called the Game of Life and How to Play It. It's by this.
You hadn't figured it out yet? You read it every year?
Because it's opening up. The game of life doesn't end until you leave this planet.
That's true.
And it's written by this. If you guys have not read this book, it's so good. It's easy to read. You could read it in a day if you wanted to. It's by this woman called Florence Scovel Shinn. It was released in the 1920s, and she basically teaches you how to use the Bible as basically it was written to play the game of life. All
the life lessons are there.
And she says, she tells all these stories and all this stuff, but one specific thing is like this lady was going after this man and she wanted this guy. And Florence was like, no, don't want the man. Stop praying to God for the man, the specific man. Pray for the man that you need in your life.
Oh,
and so I think that is a big thing. Is that you have to shift your perspective on not on this single thing is the only outcome that'll make me happy, or the single, you know what I mean? For the longest time, I thought I needed this world-renowned studio and wanted that, but now I'm like, I love live recordings.
Absolutely,
and that's where I've fallen in love with the whole music production thing, and that's where I see myself doing way more of that, is in the live realm rather than in a nice studio somewhere.
Absolutely.
And so you just have to stay open to that, and if you're have faith like we do, really just throw it on God and be like, hey, this is what I want, but I also want to do what you want.
Absolutely.
And so however that coincides, show me the way, give me a sign, and let's go.
Love that. Yeah. So, take what we're giving you, take all of it, take some of it. The other frame of thought, or another sentence just to keep in your back pocket here, or commitment statement: charge high prices so you can deliver more value for your clients. Boy, that makes sense after we just talked about taking those clients that aren't necessarily in line with, you know, if you've got clients who really respect you, you enjoy working with these clients, you're doing more for them, you're delivering more, they don't mind paying the higher prices to get you to do everything.
Yeah.
I think those are the best relationships.
Well, I don't know if you remember from 2 episodes ago, but we were talking about niching down, right? And like, you know, if you niche down, it's you know, you could actually make a lot of money. And I think that's a big part of it is you need to kind of niche down some of your clients sometimes. Like if you're being really broad with a lot of things with those clients, you're almost limiting yourself or kind of stretching yourself a little thin if you hone down on like a select niche of some sort. Well, I don't know what that is. Then you can be like, okay, how do I dominate? And then charge super high, because if people are wanting that success from what you do, then you can charge whatever you want because you're the best.
Yeah. Well, we've always said, and this is pretty bold, but I encourage all of you with a business to consider this, and I'm sure you're already doing this, but it takes a lot of courage to stand and say, how did we do for you? You know, in this industry, we're in marketing, so our job is to bring business to folks, and we have to deliver, because we've always said if they give us one check, no matter how small, how large, you got to return 3 on the other side to keep that relationship, you know, in motion. So that is something to think about. You know, that price should be in line with everything you're delivering, and they're going to gladly pay it, in particular when you do what you say you're going to do. And for us, it's increase your business.
Right. So, yeah. It should be a no-brainer for your client to be like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They're the best, and you want to go get them. Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how people say things. They're like, you want to go work with Lucas in sound design. He's the best. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with him. And that's enough. People pick up the phone when they hear that.
Yeah, totally.
You know, they don't say, you know, Lucas costs this much, and you know, there's another, it's just, he's the best, go do it. I love it. I love the experience. That's what you're buying.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. The other thing you got to remember, and I'm actually going to do this again, selling a good product in a bad market is always a losing battle. Okay. So children's products, for instance, I wrote a children's book years and years ago, thoroughly enjoyed it because it was a learning experience. I had never done it before. And that's what life has been for me, is like, I think I can. Let me go try that. Let me see if I can do it. But at the time that I was releasing, first of all, I was learning, so I'm intimidated. But now, after I've focused so much on marketing for other businesses and such, it's like, man, if I only knew that back when, you know?
Yeah.
So it's almost like I want that chance again. It's a $20 billion a year industry. Why wouldn't you give it another shot?
Yeah.
But it's just seeing the way people have done things and how you can improve upon those things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, for me, maybe it wasn't a bad market. There was a lack of confidence, even on my part.
Wow.
You know, I don't know that the consumer confidence was necessarily lower than it was that I didn't have the confidence in myself.
Right. Well, you'd never done it before.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've done it now for a lot of people. I'm ready to do it again.
Yeah.
So, but that's something to consider, that maybe you've tried something once and it worked, but you thought, is this it, or can it be better? You know, definitely look into it again and see if you're feeling the same way. You always want to keep that sales pitch short and powerful as possible. So that's really fine tuning what you're doing, right? Your message to people. It doesn't have to be convoluted and complicated.
Yeah. I think that goes back to the niching down too. Is it's like, well, what do you do? And if you say, well, I do all this and that and this and that and this and that, they forgot the first 4 things that you said.
They did.
Yeah.
But you got on to me one time at a sales meeting. You remember that?
Yeah,
right?
because
Angie,
you just kept going. And so like,
we do a lot.
So like for me, like whenever people ask about what I do, especially audio wise, if they're, you know, we're talking about production, I'm like, oh, well, I record live bands.
Sure.
In a concert setting or in like a worship round type of thing. And that's it. Like that's, what is that? 12 seconds?
That was excellent.
Yeah.
You know what I say now?
What?
Whatever you need.
Whatever you need.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, in the realm of marketing, because we have done so much, and I don't know what was wrong with me that day, man. I just threw up all over the place.
You did.
It's like,
yeah.
bleh. I mean, we do, and I guess I was doing that because they were so direct about wanting so many things. And I'm like, well, we can do this, we can do that. I mean, they called us obviously because they had done the research. So thanks for that though, of reminding me that I was doing too much, simplify.
It happens. I mean,
it happens.
Yeah.
It's important because people can pick up on that. They're going to know if you're just feeding them a line or if you feel confident enough to say less, you can do more as well.
Or yes, yeah, that's actually good too. It's like, oh, well, we're a video production company, and then whenever they come in and we start working with them, it's like, oh, well, we can take care of all your posting and your captions,
all your placement,
and all that, and all your placement as well. And it's like, oh, okay, well then it's more hands off, and then they're spending more money, and it's great for everybody.
Yeah. You know what? This reminds me. I've had people of late I've run into, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a talent, someone that just seems they're downplaying it a little much. And those are the best when they're like, well, I record music or whatever. Yeah. Well, you forgot you told your father was this guy, or whatever. Sure. It's just when they are so unassuming. And then when you do your research, maybe they own the biggest department store, in some large city, and it's like, what? Yeah. But to meet them,
I was really hoping that for my mom, but that didn't happen. Because her last name is Ball, or her maiden name is Ball. I thought it was like the Ball.
Jar
Mason
company.
Jars, but she's not. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
Okay, I get it. It's that the last name has to align in more ways than just the spelling, for sure. And this is just a reiteration because again, if we're going to tell you that you don't need to go to school, I mean, we got to school you repeatedly over and over. So never sacrifice your reputation for money. We've said that many times.
Yeah, it's tough.
You just don't do, and I guess you did do it when you were going into those bars and such. I mean, imagine the rep you had back in the day. They're like, do you see Lucas in that bar and that bar? And
yeah, it was pretty funny.
I'm kidding.
No, it actually, that was a question that popped up a few times. But
they saw you working, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they knew that I was working, but then they'd see me at church on Sunday, and it's like interesting. But then also, low key, also a couple of the worship leaders were in that band, completely trashed on stage.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay.
So it is what it is.
Yeah. So, but just,
college days, right?
Oh, you remember back in those crazy days, those crazy guys. Okay. So the other thing is when we're communicating with people, right?
Yeah.
So we've talked about the niche and just being really communicative there and not oversimplifying is what you want to do. But use the words you and your in your copy to make it more engaging. So when you're reaching out to a prospect or whatever, there are ways that you can make it feel like I've already researched you. I know who you are. I know I can help you. I know I can help your company. So it's not, we're here to just help small businesses. It's your business and we can help you, maybe that does resonate. It felt right.
People are only thinking about themselves most of the time.
It's so true.
So whenever you, whenever you tell someone in like an ad or something, it's more so like if you're talking about yourself, you're like, oh, I am this. I've made so many companies this money. I've done so many things. Like people don't care.
You know what's crazy?
1 billion people have done 1 billion things. But if they in that same ad you twist the copy and say, I can get you this outcome or this product or this thing, then it's like, oh, okay.
It's kind of interesting because of late I've adopted this practice, and I don't know how you guys do it in your workplace, but I am never I. And here's why. There's been a couple of instances, but if it's a we, to me, it feels larger. It feels more capable of something.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that, the we will take the pressure off of anybody. There are going to be wins that we all get to celebrate together. There are going to be losses, and we always stand together, good times and bad times. Yeah. But we've had team members who said, well, I did this. And I said, you'll want that when the glory is there, but when they're coming for you because something was wrong, you're going to wish we were a we real quick.
Yeah. I always love it whenever sometimes there are videographers who will say, I made such a good edit. And it's like half the shots are you didn't shoot. Like somebody else did that and created the graphics that go on the end and the front and everything. And I'm like, dude,
No.
Like, yeah, you did a great job assembling it.
Yeah. I think it's
But
just
it's always
experience.
a team effort.
Yeah. And that comes with age.
Yeah.
I think just having an appreciation of the teamwork. So it's something to consider for yourself. The other thing that's really big these days, and we talk a lot about it in our shop, use headlines. Like, some people may say, well, there's clickbait, which is so-and-so doing this. And it's like, what? Mm-hmm. But then there are headlines where maybe it's very relative content and you're real relatable in that instance. That really gets you the attention and can hook people, potential business, or hook whomever you're trying to hook, is just the clever headline.
Yeah, and if it's like slightly confusing, people might click on it because they're like, "Wait, what? What did I just read?" Yeah. Or if it's like, "I can get you $100 today, right, if you just do these 3 things."
That's a headline.
A lot of people are going to click on that, and if you actually, if that is true and you're producing results, then you've got a killer business right there.
All right, listen, we're going to need you guys to stay tuned because we're still working our way through this. Lessons that you know what? We can go on for days. I mean, look, we're talking about a 4-year degree here, folks. So we're trying to break it down in these 20, 25-minute segments. So we do appreciate you guys, MarketAbilities. Anything we can do to help you, we're here to help and make a difference, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
and we love you.
And we love you.
Bye.
Peace.